So, welcome to this discussion about Henry Ole Kulet's Blossoms of the Savannah, and we see the main characters are Retian and Tayo. I don't know if it's Retian or Retian, but let's assume that is the right pronunciation. We must understand that the Maasai culture is a patriarchal culture, and that is why we see the kind of mannerism that Ole Kulet is exhibiting throughout this text, because how can you put your own daughters into trouble? And in fact, we see a very big change in the way he behaves when he comes out of his work from Nakuru and goes back to the village in Nasila. In a nutshell, this man, Ole Kulet, has been alienated for a very long time because he has stayed in the urban areas where he has been for more than 20 years and has been alienated from the culture that informs his background. That is the Maasai culture. And if you understand the background of the Maasai, you must understand that the Maasai really treasure their culture. And if you dare transgress, or if you dare try to go against the culture of the Maasai, they will treat you as an alien, or they will just treat you as an outcast of that society. And so, in part, we might not blame Ole Kulet so much for the way he behaves, but we need to look at the background where he's coming from. I think Henry Ole Kulet wants us to examine and to relook into some of our cultures, and especially the Maasai culture has braved the sands of time and has been stronger and stronger through the ages. You walk through the street and you see a Maasai still carrying a club, a rungu, and still wearing a shuka, and you fail to understand what is it that keeps them going. But behind that Maasai tunic and behind that Maasai club is a very patriarchal culture that does not entertain anyone who goes against it. And that is why we see when Ole Kulet is retrenched from Agribix Limited and goes back to the village in Nasila, his brother Simiren has 4 wives, 4, and more than 16 children. And this to him is a great achievement. And Oluisudori, another male chauvinist in Nasila, the rural home of Ole Kulet, is another key figure that really embodies the cultural patriarchy and chauvinism, male chauvinism of the Maasai. And this is very clear from his salivating for the 2 girls, that is Tayo and Regian. And he wants to marry them, not because he loves them, but simply because he's wealthy, he's affluent, and he's a man of his means, and he's influential, and he has helped Tayo, he has helped this man Parsmei to start business. And simply because he feels entitled, he thinks now he's going to inherit the daughters. And this is very, very mischievous. We also see another ugly and violent side of the male chauvinism, where 2 fellows, actually there are more than 2 fellows, who try to rape Reshan and Tayo, and this reaches Ole Kulet, and Ole Kulet decides to revenge. And we do not know if Ole Kulet really wants to seek justice for his daughters, or he simply wants to revenge for the sake of revenge. And that is another thing that we need to look deeply. And so we can see that the theme of tradition or traditionalism is coming out very clearly in this text of Blossoms of the Savannah by Henry Ole Kulet. And we need to examine the place of women. So another theme is the place of women or the gender inequality in the society, and we see how the patriarchal and male chauvinistic Nasila community is really a very bad picture for these two daughters and a very bad influence for any woman for that matter. No woman would like to stay in a culture, in a society where they are not appreciated. No woman would like to stay in a culture, in a society where they are demeaned, treated as objects, treated as just there to be married off. And so, we need to also re-examine the family values with a close angle. But we must really also talk about the backward and primitive female genital mutilation, because Olusidori wants to marry Regiane and Tayo, but he cannot do that unless the two girls are circumcised. So circumcision is at the center of this Maasai culture. And mind you, it is not just basic circumcision, but it's really, to be graphic enough, very deep cut on the female reproductive organs of these ladies or these young girls. And early marriages are another focus of this novel, Blossoms of the Savannah by Henry Ole Kulet. So, two sticking issues and cultural issues that needs to be reviewed and looked into as we study this text is early marriages and female genital mutilation, and also male chauvinism. And we need to look at these with a keen eye, and we need to see that these are backward practices whose time has elapsed, and perhaps they need to be discarded, perhaps they need not be discarded because they are part and parcel of culture, but your guess is as good as mine. So, there you are. Let us dig deeper as we look at these blossoms of the savannah. But one thing triumphs throughout this text, that of education. Education plays a key role in the rise of Ole Kulet to be the manager at Agribix, and education plays a key role in the sound advice that major figures in the society of the Maasai Nasila community give to the daughters of Ole Kulet. And education is what liberates finally Regiane and Tayo to become champions of civilization in the community of Nasila. From Mokaya Leadership Academy, yours truly, your teacher, Christopher Mokaya. Until next time, keep it here, and remember, learning is forever.